welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Joe Biden and Tom Cotton. Let's go with start by living all of Biden's safe states. The Hawks just played, and we lost, of course, to the Bucks. Trey, hopefully he'll be back next game though, so hopefully we can win games 6 and 7. Cotton's safe states, fairly self-explanatory. Montana could be likely. I don't see Cotton having a whole lot of appeal to moderates, which could be problematic for him. So Montana could slip down to likely. It is definitely possible. For now, I'm gonna give it to him safe. But I honestly, if Trump was able to carry it though, it'll probably still be safe. I see him having more appeal to moderates probably. Or it depends. I could see him having a lot more appeal to moderates, than Trump, but it's probably going to be safe regardless. If Trump was able to carry it safe. For Biden's likely states, he could see New Mexico, Nebraska second, Minnesota, Michigan, Maine at large, New Hampshire, and Virginia. In New Mexico, I don't see Cotton doing well enough with Hispanic and Latino voters. I don't see him doing as well with oil workers as Trump did. Nebraska second. He's just not going to be strong enough in the suburbs. Biden's pretty strong in the suburbs, and they're going to continue to shift to the left. In Minnesota, I see Biden doing well enough in the Minneapolis area. I don't see Cotton getting enough rural turnout and doing well enough for the working class. I don't see him doing, horrendously in terms of rural turnout. But I definitely don't see him doing, amazing. I think his rural turnout will be problematic, but it won't be like if it was Mitt Romney or Susan Collins or somebody. He's not going to be able to turn out as many rural voters as Trump, which is going to hurt him. But it's not exactly going to be something like with somebody whose rural turnout is going to be significantly hurt them, or their ability to turn out rural voters. Michigan, he's just not strong enough for the working class. Can't turn out enough rural voters. Biden's going to do well in the suburbs, and Biden's going to do pretty well with the black vote. In New Hampshire, I see Biden doing in Michigan. That is, I see him doing pretty well in Detroit, and I see him turning out a lot of black voters in Detroit, and I see Cotton just not turning out the white rural vote necessary and doing poorly enough for the working class. Biden is a strange candidate. He really is, because he's establishmentarian moderate, which is typically an awful candidate to run in terms of working class appeal. But he has fairly good working class appeal. It's strange, but he also has appeal in the suburbs, and he also has appeal to black voters. He's kind of an all around candidate. So I see him being. He's not exactly someone who's going to be phenomenal with every demographic, but he's fairly solid with basically every group. So I see him doing well enough, or at least for a Democrat. Like, obviously he's not going to be like a good candidate for rural voters, but good for a Democrat. But I think he's going to do well enough with the working class, whereas Cotton's not going to do amazing. Maine at large, it's pretty inelastic, but Cotton's probably going to do similar with the white rural college educated vote, fairly similar thing in New Hampshire. At best, for him, probably shift it 1% to the right. I don't really see him doing much better than that, though. In Virginia, especially with someone like Biden, in Virginia, Biden's going to do very well in the suburbs. He's going to do very well with the black vote. Whereas Cotton just won't be able to turn out as many rural voters. For Cotton's likely states, he gets Nebraska's first, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Indiana, South Carolina, and Alaska. So in Nebraska's first, he's going to do worse in the suburbs. He's not going to turn out as many rural voters. Kansas, it's a very similar thing. He's not going to be able to turn out as many rural voters, and he's going to do worse in the suburbs. Missouri, he's just not going to be able to turn out many rural voters. I could easily see him carrying it safe, though. It's going to be like 14.5, probably, if it is likely. It's going to be on the line between being safe and likely. Although I could see Biden doing well enough in St. Louis and Kansas City to keep it likely. It's a very similar thing in Indiana in terms of the margins. Mississippi, Cotton just once again can't turn out, or won't be able to turn out, or won't, I guess, turn out the rural vote necessary. Whereas Biden's going to do very well with the black vote. He's going to turn out a lot of black voters. Indiana, Cotton's not going to be able to do amazing with the working class, won't turn out a whole lot of rural voters, whereas Biden will be able to retain enough voters in a lot of these bigger cities. He's going to do pretty well with the black vote in Gary. South Carolina, not Gary, South Carolina. That wasn't Gary. And then in South Carolina, I don't know if there's a city called Gary, South Carolina, or a town. Cotton's gonna not be able to turn out as many rural voters, or won't. Rather, like obviously technically can, but he's just not gonna. Whereas Biden's gonna do pretty well with the black vote. Probably shifting it to the left. In Alaska, Cotton's not going to do as well with oil workers. And we're gonna see more and more Native American voters turning out, which is already gonna shift the state to the left. It's probably gonna end up being probably like R+9, R+8 for Cotton. I could maybe see it being narrower, but I doubt it. For Biden's lean states, Nevada, Arizona's on the line between being lean until Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Whereas Cotton gets Iowa, Ohio, in second, and Texas. Oops. In Nevada, Cotton won't be able to, or Cotton won't. I keep on saying won't be able to. I mean, he will be able to. He just won't. Turn out as many, or he won't turn out as many rural voters. And Biden's going to do well enough for the Hispanic and Latino vote. In Arizona, I'm sorry, my computer was like falling off my leg, or off of my not lap. I'm not sure where on my leg it has to be to qualify as my lap, but my leg or lap or whatever. Now I'm talking about legs and laps. Which random side note about laps, I find them kind of strange that they're there when you're sitting but not when you're standing. Anyways, so in Arizona, I don't see Cotton doing well enough in the traditionally conservative suburbs. And I see Biden doing well enough in the Hispanic Latino vote. I see Cotton being decent enough in the suburbs, but not well enough, or not do well enough for it to be, like clearly tilt. I'll probably be on the line between being lean and tilt. In Wisconsin, this is probably going to be the most conservative of these. It's probably going to vote the farthest to the right of these three states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Cotton's not going to be able to do, or Cotton won't do as well with the rural vote. Won't turn out as many rural voters. Won't do as well with the working class. Whereas Biden's going to do very well with the black vote in Milwaukee. Is going to do well in the suburbs. In Pennsylvania, it's a fairly similar thing. Cotton is not going to turn out as many rural voters. Won't do as well with the working class. Whereas Biden's going to do pretty well in the suburbs and do better with the black vote in Philly. In Georgia, Biden's going to do pretty well with the black vote. Will do pretty well with the black vote in Atlanta and do pretty well with the black rural vote. Shift the suburbs to the left. A lot of these diversifying suburbs, whereas Cotton just won't be able to, or won't turn out as many rural voters. That's kind of, I don't see him having enough appeal to that rural Trumpist base to turn out. And I don't see him having that appeal to turn out the same rural numbers that Trump did. For the final tilt states, they are both tilt to Cotton. I forgot to talk about Cotton's lean states. Okay, well these are both Cotton's tilt and lean states, I guess now. In Iowa, he's going to turn out enough rural voters. It's going to be hard for him. It's going to be a narrow margin of victory, but he's going to be able to turn out enough he's going to turn out enough rural voters. In Ohio, he's going to do worse with the working class and turn out less rural voters, but enough. And the suburbs are going to continue to shift to left, and Biden's going to do well enough with the black vote in a lot of these bigger cities. Sorry, one of my notifications came down. When I was remote, when was this? March of 2020, which is now a long time ago. I set myself all these, get on task notifications, because, I procrastinate, so that's what that was about. If you could even see that. I'm not just randomly getting get on task notifications, but they're, over a year old, and I'm obsessive, and I don't delete my notifications or anything. Anyways, I see Biden doing well enough with, the black vote in a lot of these bigger cities. Cotton not turning out as many rural voters and not doing as well with the working class. And the suburbs shifting to the left in Ohio. In North Carolina, it's going to be very, very narrow. It's going to hardly go to Cotton, but I think it will. He's going to turn out less rural voters, do worse in the suburbs, do worse at the working class, and Biden's going to do pretty well with the black vote. I just see Cotton turning out enough rural voters to the point where it's not going to be once again, he's not like Collins, he's not like Romney. He can turn out enough rural voters. It's going to be problematic. But I think he's going to narrowly carry it. In Florida, I see him, honestly, I don't think that this is necessarily where, I think they're both weak candidates for the state of Florida. I think this more plays into Cotton not being as weak. Biden's pretty decent in the suburbs and pretty decent for the older white vote, but he's going to do really bad with the Hispanic Latino vote. Honestly, this should probably actually go to Biden, just because he's going to do well enough with older white voters. And it's probably going to be, honestly, Cotton's also pretty strong for the older white vote. It's hard to tell, because Cotton's probably better for older white voters than Biden, or than Trump was. And he's also probably better in the suburbs than Trump, but he's significantly worse with Hispanic and Latino voters. It's hard to tell. It has a Republican lean. I'm going to give it to Cotton. North Carolina and Florida are going to be narrow. We could see something that looks like this. Like, this is still very realistic. I'm going to give them both to Cotton anyways. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.